Cody back again here with another Vinyl Finds video, and I have to say the last 3 or 4 weeks again, and as I mentioned in the previous videos, the private collection that the Vinyl Rescue Project's been getting in, and I have picked out some pretty amazing things in the last month or so, and I honestly can't wait to share what I've actually picked out and what I found in there so far. But everything that I actually have to show all came from the Vinyl Rescue Project. Just getting straight started with it. The first thing I'm going to show is actually a newer album, not a part of that collection. This is the new Pixies album that just came out this past Friday. It's Beneath the Eyrie. It's a really solid album. I actually listened to it the other day, and it is on the white vinyl, which I think was a indie record store exclusive. But a really great album from the Pixies. And another new release album that I picked up at the Vinyl Rescue Project is Nirvana Live and Loud from their 1993 MTV performance. And all these live Nirvana albums, they sound really, really stellar. And definitely had to add it to the Nirvana collection. But just a great album, great stuff. But the rest of the albums I'm actually going to show all came from the collection, as I mentioned in the last few videos, and I showed a lot of good stuff in those last two Vinyl Finds videos. Stuff that I had on my want list for a long time. Stuff that I honestly didn't believe that I was ever going to find, at least out in the open or at a just out like this and all in one place. And it's just it's amazing to me, and I would say this time it's more of that, but to just getting right into it, just without any further ado, the first album I'm going to show that I picked out of that private collection is Iggy Pop, American Caesar. This is an original 1993 UK copy. It's a really stellar album from Iggy Pop. They did reissue this album, I want to say in like 2014 or 15. It's actually missing the last track on their Girls of New York and their reissue for whatever reason. I really don't know the reasoning behind that, but it is on the original copy, so I was definitely glad to find an original copy of this album. And even it sounds amazing. A great album from Iggy Pop. The next album I'm going to show is Mudhoney's first album, self-titled first album. This is not in an original copy, but it is a earlier repress. According to Discogs, it's like a second pressing from 1989. The original one did have like a gatefold cover. This one does not, but really happy to find this one because I actually do have the reissue that came out a little while back now, but the reissue that I had was slightly warped, so definitely glad to find an earlier repressing of it. And just a great album for Mudhoney. The next album I'm going to show is Soundgarden. Their Screaming Life EP. It's another one that I actually have the reissue for that came out in like 2013 or so. But Soundgarden, one of those bands that at some point I would really like to have all their original albums on vinyl. I have a lot of their all their stuff reissued. I do have a lot of original pressings as well. Definitely missing some still, but definitely glad to have that one. And I also did pick up another Soundgarden album down in the Upside, an original 1996 copy. Again, I have the reissue of this one. The reissue sounds pretty stellar, but again, having the 1996 original copy is very awesome, and I think the only Soundgarden albums I really need now for the original copies is Louder Than Love and Bad Motorfinger. But hopefully, and honestly, if all this stuff's in this collection, I wouldn't be surprised if he still continues the collection, if they pop up at some point. But definitely glad to have an original copy of this, because I actually came across an original copy of this maybe 6 or 7 months ago at Luna Music, and they just had way too much money on it, so I kind of had to leave it behind. And another album that I picked out of there is Charred Walls of the Damned. This is their self-titled album that came out in 2010, I want to say. But this is just a really, in my opinion, underrated band. It's got Tim Owens on the lead vocals. He used to be the lead singer of Judas Priest when Rob Halford first left in like the mid '90s, and Richard Christie does the drums on it, which he's just an amazing drummer. I mean, Richard Christie, of course, from the Howard Stern Show, but he also did drumming on a lot of metal albums. I know he did some drumming on like 2 or 3 Iced Earth albums from like 2001 to 2004. But just a really, I think, kind of underrated album. It's Charred Walls of the Damned, and it was kind of I wasn't expecting to find that one in there. I never actually came across that one in any store. And I also did have to pick up Alice Cooper, The Last Temptation, an original 1994 pressing. And this is just a kind of an underrated Alice Cooper album. Of course, the biggest song off of this is Lost in America, which is a song that Alice Cooper actually does still perform pretty frequently in concert. Last time I saw Alice Cooper, which was maybe about a year or so ago, he did play that on his show, and it's a really good song. But this album altogether is just a really solid album that I don't think gets as much attention as some of Alice Cooper's earlier albums. But Chris Cornell actually does play on some tracks on here as well, just some background vocals on it. It's kind of cool to hear Alice Cooper and Chris Cornell on there. And this particular copy does have the Alice Cooper Last Temptation comic book in there. So the whole album kind of goes through a theme. So they kind of have the comic book to go along with it, which was actually made by Marvel. So really cool that was still included in it. And honestly, like, the album looks like it's never been played. The comic book looks like it's never been read. So I mean, really happy to find that one in there. It's definitely stuff you just don't see every day. And then I also got a original 1999 copy of Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication, and which I was really happy to find this one in there. Love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I had a reissue of this album, like a reissue from, I don't even know what the reissue that I have is from. It's not like the typical one from 2012 that you probably see in most stores. I don't even remember what I got this one, but it sounds super compressed. One of the LPs on the reissue that I have like skipped all over the place. It was just a terrible copy, so I had needed to get a replacement copy, and what better way to replace it than in an original 1999 US pressing of it. And this album, it's like night and day difference. I mean, this is just an amazing sounding album, and still in the shrink wrap, still has the hype sticker on it. Super glad that I found that in there. Then I also picked up an original 1999 Rage Against the Machine Battle of Los Angeles. Probably, I would say, my favorite Rage Against the Machine album. I have vivid memories of when this came out and my brother getting the CD, and it's just listening to it all the time in like late 99, early 2000. And definitely remember Testify. Probably literally just brings back so many memories when I hear that song. But again, just a great album, great condition. Still has the shrink wrap, still has the hype sticker. And I also picked up Rage Against the Machine Renegades, and again, same thing, still has the hype sticker and the shrink wrap. And I actually needed this album to complete my Rage Against the Machine studio collection, and actually have all my Rage Against the Machine albums besides their first album. I have all original copies of, so I'm kind of looking to track down an original copy of their first album now, and might find it in this collection as I found all this stuff in there. But definitely glad to have that one. And the last song I'm going to show is definitely one that I never in a million years thought I would own, and it's Marilyn Manson, Mechanical Animals. One that I had on my Discogs want list for a long time. I mean, this is just a really stellar album. And the actual vinyl is split up in two different albums, essentially. You have the Mechanical Animals, and then you have Omega and the Mechanical Animals, and it's like split up into two different albums, totally different track order than the original CD has, and they are on colored vinyl. One is on white vinyl, and the other one is on like translucent blue vinyl. But I mean, amazing sounding record. One that I never, honestly, ever thought I would come across, and I'm just glad I was able to actually pick it up. But that is all the stuff that I've actually pulled out of that collection this time around. And again, I don't know if they plan on doing this consignment private collection going forward. I think they have a 3-month contract to kind of split the profits and do the collection, and I think that runs up at the end of this month. But hopefully they continue to do it, because I mean, I have found some of my best finds have been in the last 3 months probably. It's just amazing stuff. I mean, so many original 90s stuff in just in one place. I mean, this guy's collection, I definitely was buying records when nobody else was still doing it, but definitely glad to have some of his records now in my collection. But really, that's all I have to show. I'm going to see the Crash Test Dummies on Thursday at the Vogue, so hoping to pick up some of their reissued albums there. And I'm still waiting on my Soundgarden Live at the Artist Inn to come my way too. It's supposedly supposed to come out this month, so we'll see. Hopefully by the next Vinyl Finds video I will actually have that. But anyway, again guys, thanks for watching.